an impasse.
Well, the U.S. Secretary of State has called on Pakistan to stop encouraging anti-American sentiment. Hillary Clinton's remarks come amid anger in Lahore over the killing of 2 Pakistanis by a U.S. embassy employee. Raymond Davis says he acted in self-defense when he shot the men, and that was last month. The United States believes he has diplomatic immunity and is putting pressure on Pakistan to release him. Full news bulletin coming up at the top of the hour. For now, it's Inside Story. Stay with Al Jazeera.
Bahrain's monarchy is under growing pressure as protests sweeping the Arab world reach this tiny Gulf country. Could the monarchy survive the ongoing unrest this time, and what does it all mean for the region? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Divya Gopalan. Events in Tunisia and Egypt have left Arab governments worried, and Bahrain's royal family is no exception. Days of protests came to a violent head on Thursday, and a police crackdown left several people dead and scores injured. As protesters mourn their losses on the street, can the rulers in Bahrain survive this uprising? Well, Zainab Walji has more.
A day of funerals after a night of violence. Thousands gather on the streets of the Bahraini capital to mourn the dead. In the early hours of Thursday, the police opened fire on protesters while they slept in one of Manama's main squares. The hospital, now a testament to the violent events of the night before. Patients with shot wounds to their bodies, injuries caused by rubber-coated steel bullets, some even beaten with rifles. At least 4 people were killed. Yet despite these images, Bahrain's foreign minister insists they did not use weapons against protesters.
Bahrain's defense forces did not and has never directed a weapon. I will not accept any accusation that we directed our weapons on the people. This is the army of the country. It defends the people and the nation and condemns bloodshed in any circumstance.
While anger over economic issues and corruption has brought people to the streets in many capitals across the Arab world, the situation in Bahrain is unique. Since independence from British rule in 1971, tensions between the usually more affluent Sunni community and the Shia have often caused unrest on the tiny Gulf island. And the monarchy maintains this current uprising is no different.
We're being polarized. The society at that moment was being polarized. The country was walking on the brink of a sectarian abyss.
But for the protesters, this is not a sectarian issue. For them, this is about democracy, human rights, and representation.
The people in Bahrain are not demanding to change the government or to change the ruling family, but further reform and respect for human rights and freedom of expression, and to stop torture. And it is not like Egypt, they're trying to overthrow the government.
But with police brutality and people dead, the events of Thursday have changed the demands. It's no more about constitutional reform. For the protesters now, the only option is the removal of Bahrain's royal family. Zainab Walji, Inside Story.
For more on this, I'm joined by our 3 guests. From London, Saeed Al-Shihabi of the Bahrain Freedom Movement. Al-Shihabi is one of the 25 terror suspects charged by the government last year. From Dubai, Ibrahim Khayat, director of the International Center for Strategic Analysis. And joining us on the phone from the Bahraini capital of Manama, Nabil Rajab, Vice President of the Bahrain Center for Human Rights. Now, I'd like to start with you, Nabil Rajab. You were speaking in our report there, and you said that people will be happy with a government change, not necessarily overthrowing the monarchy. Why do you feel that?
Well, first of all, I need to tell you, I just came out from burying the fourth death that we had yesterday. And I went to the Salmania hospital, and there are few thousand people, doctors and nurses are protesting for not allowing the ambulance to go and carry the injured people yesterday. A lot of doctors came out from the Ministry of Health and nurses, and now there is another protest starting by the Bahraini journalists for not allowing them to cover the event in Bahrain as the international media are covering the event. Now, just remind me of your question one more time.
My question was, do you think the people will be satisfied with just an overthrow of the government, or do they want the monarchy out too?
Well, when they started in the 14th, people were in the street calling for a political reform, calling for a political participation, calling for a constitution that is written by the people, they were protesting anti-discrimination, anti-naturalization of foreign nationals, and anti-corruption, and but the government used force against them and used violence and killed many people and injured hundreds of people. Now people, yes, they were not calling to change the regime, but then later, because out of anger, people start calling to change the regime. They say, how come a ruling family, or how can a king that is ruling us, and he sent his troops, the troops which was brought from outside the country, the troops and special forces and special security and riot police brought from outside the country to raid our villages, to raid our cities, to raid our towns, and kill our people. Today the slogan, and yesterday, has changed from the government that we want to reform the government to that we want to change the regime now. Mm-hmm. Yes, but I said, I think if the ruling elite come out with an initiative where there is a real change, shows a credible one, a real change, and that could lower down the people in the street. But now people are calling to change the whole regime because of what is happening.
Okay, Saeed Al-Shihabi of the Bahrain Freedom Movement, if I could put this question to you. You're labeled as one of the terror suspects. Do you think that it would be enough for just an overhaul of the regime, or do you want everything changed, including the monarchy?
Well, first of all, I want to ask the world to decide who is the terrorist, myself and my colleagues who are languishing in jail, or the regime that has snatched the lives of many people from our country. There are still 50 people who disappeared yesterday, and nobody knows where they are. This is in addition to the 6 people who have been killed so far, at least 6 people, and the count is rising. So it is up to the world to decide who is the terrorist. This is one thing. And I believe that in a world that has come clear about its verdict in what we saw today in the newspapers, including The Times, The Independent, The Washington Post, the whole world of the free world has come out to condemn the regime. I think the game is over for the ruling family in Bahrain, because it has failed the test not only to